This morning I woke up to my phone vibrating. It was 6:17 a.m. Usually, I'm still half asleep at that time, trying to convince myself not to hit snooze. But it wasn't the alarm this time. It was a message from Ashley. My ex, who I hadn't spoken to in over a year. I thought it was a joke at first. Hey, I'm really sorry to reach out like this, but I don't know who else to turn to. I'm pregnant. He left. I have to move out urgently, I've got nowhere to go. Please, Mike, I just need some money to cover rent somewhere else. I'll pay you back, I promise. I read it 3 times before just staring up at the ceiling, like the answers to everything might be hiding in the cracks in the plaster. A year and a half. No calls, no texts. After our last fight, I blocked her everywhere. Then I unblocked her out of some vague sense of closure, but I never messaged her again. She didn't reach out either. Until this morning, our relationship was complicated. That's the nice word for it. Ashley could be intense, emotional, sometimes manipulative. But she could also be kind, loving, even inspiring. We tried to make it work a few times. Each attempt worse than the last. It finally ended when I went to her place and found out she'd disappeared for 2 days without telling anyone, later saying she'd been reevaluating her life. Now I was staring at my screen, torn between 2 parts of myself. One was cold, logical. You owe her nothing. It's not your kid, don't get involved. The other part remembered how she once walked through a snowstorm at 5 in the morning to bring me hot coffee when I was sick. What if she's really in trouble? I didn't know what to do. First instinct was to ask whose baby it was. But even if she said, not yours, would I believe her? And if she said, maybe yours? That would open up a whole new level of nightmare. I could already feel that old anxiety creeping in, the one that had tied us together for years like a knot I couldn't untangle. I didn't reply right away. Just got up, showered, and tried to wash off the sticky feeling that I was being pulled back into her drama. A few hours later at work, I read the message again. Then I checked her Instagram, private. Last post was from before we broke up. I googled her name, even searched on Facebook. Nothing useful. Still, if she was really pregnant and homeless, what if I just ignored this? I didn't want to be part of her life again. But I also didn't want to be the guy who turned away from a pregnant woman, especially if there was any chance, even a sliver, that it could be my kid. I remembered a couple of careless nights toward the end. Nothing confirmed, but still. At lunch, I told Colin, a coworker I talked to a lot. He whistled. Dude, she's playing you. You can't see that? I bet you're not the first guy she messaged. I nodded, but something still didn't sit right. That evening, back home, I reread the message again. I replied, short and straight, hey Ashley. I'm sorry you're going through this. But I'm not sure why you're coming to me. Are you certain I'm not the father? She responded quickly. No, you're not. I'm desperate. Everyone's turned their back on me. I just need a little help, just to cover my first month somewhere. I'm not playing you. Please. I stared at the screen. She said I wasn't the father. But I still didn't fully believe it. It wasn't just about biology. It was about knowing her, too well. She always knew how to hit the right emotional note. And I knew myself. I was always the one who gave in. I asked how much she needed. She said $950. That number felt weirdly specific. Not 500, not 1,000. Almost believable, almost. I thought about asking for proof. A photo, an ultrasound, anything. But I knew how that would come off, like I was accusing her of lying. And wasn't I, though? I didn't reply, just put my phone down and tried to sleep. Tossed and turned all night. Dreamed about her, weird scenes. I open the door and she's standing there with a baby, saying it's mine. Then I wake up, heart pounding, no idea what's real. Next day, no message. Day after, same. My mind kept spinning. Should I give her the money but insist on paying the landlord directly? Should I ask for proof before anything else? Or just stay out of it? On day 5, she messaged again. I get it. I'm sorry I bothered you. I'll figure it out on my own. That was it. No guilt trip, no angry rant. And somehow, that stung more than if she had yelled. Because now, if she really was in trouble, I'd look like a heartless jerk. When I woke up the next day, all I could think about was Ashley. No matter how much I tried to convince myself this wasn't my problem, that it had nothing to do with me, something inside kept itching. Not guilt, not fear, just a gnawing feeling. Like looking at an old photo and trying to remember why you smiled back then. I started going over everything that had happened between us. Not because I missed her, but because I needed to figure out how likely it was that she was telling the truth. We met at a friend's party, and she immediately stood out, bright, funny, made eye contact like she meant it. We started dating pretty quickly. The first few months were great. Impromptu road trips, falling asleep during bad movies, cooking pasta together and arguing about whether or not garlic belonged in it. But cracks started showing. At first, she'd just get upset over small things. I was late to meet her, didn't text back fast enough, forgot something she asked me to grab on the way over. Then came the weird stuff. She'd turn her phone off at night and claim she was just tired of talking. Sometimes she'd disappear for a day, then show up looking exhausted, saying she'd stayed at a friend's and didn't want to be around anyone. I tried not to push. Gave her space. Thought maybe she just needed time. But it got more complicated. One memory hit me hard. A few months before we broke up, she asked me for rent money. Said her roommate bailed and she had to cover the full amount or she'd get kicked out. It was around $1,000. I gritted my teeth and sent it. A week later, someone we both knew posted a photo of Ashley in Los Angeles. I hadn't even known she was going. Later, she said the whole housing thing had fallen through, and she just needed to get away. I asked what happened with the apartment and rent. She got defensive, said I was controlling, didn't trust her, and that I always wanted to catch her in a lie. We almost broke up right then. That wasn't the only time. There was the phone thing. She said it was stolen, but I saw an old model in her bag a few days later. She said it was a backup. Couldn't explain why she was hiding it. Nothing ever lined up. I kept telling myself maybe she was going through something, maybe she just didn't know how to be honest. But eventually, I realized I was living on edge, constantly waiting for the next weird story. When we finally broke up, I didn't feel angry. More like relieved, like coming up for air after realizing you've been underwater way too long. And now she's texting me, saying she's pregnant, alone, and asking for help. And I don't know what to believe. Not because I want to accuse her of lying, but because I've been through this before. I've already given her money for rent. I've already been told it was urgent, that she had no one else. I've already been made to feel like the last person on earth who gave a damn. What if she's just coming to me again because she knows I don't know how to say no? What if I'm her backup plan? And what if, just maybe, she's really in trouble and I've decided people can't change? I couldn't stop thinking about it all day. Then I went back to her message. The line that hit me the hardest wasn't that she was pregnant. It was when she said, "No one else will help." I remembered once we were walking down the street and she said she always felt abandoned, that people just left her. I promised her I wouldn't. But I did, because staying had become impossible. Now I was at the crossroads again. I didn't know if she was telling the truth. I didn't know if the baby was mine. I didn't know why she'd reappeared now. But something inside me said I had to at least try to find out. Just a little. I texted her, "Can you show me an ultrasound or some kind of proof? I'm sorry, I need to know this is real." She didn't respond all day. I figured that was it. Either she was offended, or she'd realized I wasn't going to just hand over the money. But late at night, a photo came through. A blurry image on a black and white screen. Underneath it, a label. Her name, a date from 2 weeks ago, and the gestational age, 19 weeks. There was a fetus, and the name beside it was hers. I sat at my kitchen table, staring at the screen, not sure how to feel. It looked real. It probably was real. Maybe it was really hers. But the doubt didn't go away. Because proof isn't just about evidence, it's about trust. And I didn't have that anymore. I sat there a long time. I remembered us lying on the couch once, and she said she wanted 2 kids someday. I joked that one would be plenty. She laughed. Back then it all felt possible. Real. Now it felt like someone else's dream. I didn't know why I agreed. Days of mental chewing gum, circling thoughts, anxious sleep, and at some point, my fingers just typed, "Let's meet. I want to talk in person." I waited for her response with a weird mix of dread and relief, like showing up for a test you haven't studied for, but still can't skip. She replied almost immediately, like she'd been waiting. Phone in hand, she suggested a cafe near her old place, a spot we used to go to on Saturday mornings. Cozy, with chipped wooden tables and warm amber lighting, even in daylight. It always smelled like caramel and vanilla. I hadn't set foot there since we broke up. I arrived early, took a table by the window where I could watch the door, didn't want her to sneak up behind me. My heart was beating faster than I liked. My palms were sweating. I checked my phone, then again, like a nervous teenager on a first date. Only this was anything but a date. When the door opened, I knew it was her instantly, even though something about her had changed. She walked in slowly, shoulders slightly hunched, wearing an oversized sweater, jeans, and old sneakers. Hair thrown up into a loose bun. No makeup. Her face looked tired, not in a fake way, in the kind of way you can't pretend. And yeah, she had a belly. Small but visible. Something in me tightened. I stood. Neither of us tried to hug. "Hey," she said, voice rough like she hadn't spoken out loud in a while. "Hey," I said, hearing my own voice falter slightly. We sat down. I ordered a black coffee. She got tea with honey. We sat in silence for 5 full minutes before she let out a breath and started talking. "Calm, no theatrics. I wasn't planning to involve you," she said. "I really tried to handle everything on my own. I thought the baby's dad. I thought he was serious. He said he wanted this, said we'd figure it out. Then one day, he just disappeared. Deleted everything. I don't even know if he's alive." I listened, really listened, not searching for lies, just trying to see her for who she was now. She wiped her eyes with a napkin, holding herself together, but looking exhausted. And I couldn't help it. I asked the question. "Are you sure it's not mine?" She looked up immediately. "Mike, I swear, it's not your baby. We hadn't even seen each other in months before I got involved with him. She paused. "I reached out to you because you're the only person who ever actually helped me. Even when I didn't deserve it. Even when I was awful. I know I don't have the right to ask. But I hoped you'd at least hear me out." I nodded. I really had heard her. I saw something in her eyes that wasn't manipulation. Maybe it was shame. Maybe just exhaustion. Maybe both. Maybe she had changed. Or maybe life had worn her down so much that there wasn't room for games anymore. But along with the empathy, I still felt a cautious weight in my chest. "I can't just send you money," I said. "I don't know where it would go. Not because I think you're lying, but I've been through this before." She nodded, stared into her tea. "I get it. I didn't really expect you to say yes. I didn't say no," I added. "I just don't know." We fell into another silence. She didn't push. That was the strangest part. No pressure, no guilt tripping, no tears on demand. I had braced myself for the old Ashley. Drama, accusations, emotional chess. But she just sat there, quiet, as if she didn't believe anyone would help her anymore. We left the cafe together. The sky was gray, heavy with clouds. A cool wind whipped through the street, and she pulled her hood up, zipped her coat. "Want a ride?" I asked. She shook her head. "No, I want to walk a bit. Get some air." I nodded. We stood there a few moments, not sure what else to say. "Thanks for coming," she said. "That already means a lot." "Yeah," I said. "Take care." She gave a small wave and walked off down the street, slow and a little hunched. I watched her go. Then I got in my car, but didn't start it. Just sat there staring at the steering wheel like it might offer me some kind of answer. I didn't say yes. I didn't say no, but I knew deep down, whatever choice I made, it wasn't going to bring peace. A couple of days passed since our meeting, and I still hadn't made a decision. I wandered around my apartment like it was a cage, mentally replaying the same loop of thoughts, trying to figure it out. Was she really desperate, or just good at playing desperate? I couldn't let it go. It felt like someone else had taken up residence inside me. Not reason, not emotion, but some silent observer sitting in the corner, watching me unravel. I needed someone else's perspective. A fresh take, maybe even a harsh one. I called my sister first. Kate and I aren't super close. She's 5 years older, always a bit aloof, but when I need the kind of truth that stings, she delivers. I laid everything out for her. No embellishments, no defending Ashley, but no spite either. Just facts. "Look," Kate said, her voice already firm, "you don't owe her a thing. Not as an ex, not as a man, not as a human being. You broke up, it's not your kid. You're not obligated to rescue someone who's been digging her own hole for years." She looked really bad, I said. "Not like before. I don't think she's faking this time. Even if she's not lying, so what? You want to invite her back into your life through the side door?" "Not dating. but sending money, worrying about her, getting sucked in again. Mike, this isn't the life you pictured when you left her. Or is it? I didn't answer. She hit the mark. I didn't want to be part of Ashley's world again. But I also couldn't just turn away. Especially after seeing the baby bump. I'm not saying be heartless, Kate added. But help isn't always kindness. Sometimes it's just prolonging the inevitable. Let her deal with her choices. That's what adults do. I thanked her, but I didn't feel relieved. I felt hollow. The next day I met up with Jason. We've been friends since college. He's seen every chapter of my mess with Ashley, from the beginning to the final crash. We sat in our usual bar, ordered wings and beer, and I gave him the full recap, including our in-person conversation. Hold on, he said when I finished. She's pregnant. She has no place to live. You saw her. You're really gonna say, not my problem. It's not my kid, Jay, I replied. We haven't seen each other in over a year. And you know how many times she's twisted the truth. Yeah, I know what she was like. But this, man, she might really be in trouble. Do you want her out on the street, alone, pregnant, in winter? I felt anger bubble up, not at him, at the whole situation. Because he was right, and so was Kate. They were both right. And completely at odds. I felt like I was being torn in two, one voice cold and rational, the other full of reluctant compassion. I was stuck in the middle, emotionally scorched. So what should I do then? I asked. Send money and hope she uses it for what she says. Look, you could go check out the place. Or pay the landlord directly. But just ghosting her? I don't know, man. That'd mess with my head. I nodded. That felt closer to what I was feeling. Not a yes, not a no. Something in between. Maybe. Later that night, I sat at home with some quiet music playing, poured myself a glass of whiskey, and stared at my phone. Eventually, I typed, Ashley, I'm not saying no. I just want to make sure the money goes where you say it will. Can you send me some kind of documentation? A rent agreement or an invoice? Not because I don't believe you. I just need peace of mind. She didn't reply right away. About 40 minutes later, I got this. You don't trust me. That's why we didn't work out back then. That was it. No yelling, no manipulation, no guilt trips. Just those 2 lines. And somehow, it hit harder than any dramatic outburst. I felt the cold sting of that old feeling, being seen as the bad guy. Again, the one who didn't get it. The one who let her down. I started typing a response. Something about how I wasn't doubting her pregnancy. Just wanted transparency, just needed to protect myself. Then I deleted it. It wouldn't change anything. She'd already made up her mind. She was hurt, or tired, or both. I didn't message her again that night. Or the next, or the day after. And the longer the silence stretched, the more I felt like the window was closing. But the feeling that haunted me most wasn't guilt or relief. It was the image of her walking away from the cafe, slow and small under a gray sky. And the thought that maybe somewhere out there, she was thinking, he saw me like this. And still didn't help. At some point, everything just became clear. Not because of some grand realization or carefully weighed arguments, but simply because I was done. Mentally exhausted, worn out from the constant weighing of words, the endless inner debates about what's right. I realized I just didn't want to deal with it anymore. Not because I was angry. Not because I was cold-hearted. But because, honestly, I no longer cared. Ashley hadn't texted in days. The silence only confirmed what I already felt. There was nothing left between us. No connection, no lingering emotion, no annoyance, just empty space, where there used to be a storm. That morning, without much thought, I picked up my phone and typed out a message. No drama, no, I'm sorry, or, I hope you understand. Just the truth. Ashley, I won't be sending any money. This isn't about trust or resentment. I just don't want to be involved in your life again. Good luck. That was it. I don't want to. Because I didn't. Because I'm allowed not to. No justification, no debt, no dramatic exit. She replied a couple of hours later. I saw the notification pop up, opened it, and, unsurprisingly, it was a long paragraph, of course. Just like always, when I really needed someone. You were nowhere. No surprise. You've never trusted anyone but yourself. I wasn't asking for a miracle, Mike. Just a little help. One step toward me. But you chose to walk away again. That's why we never worked. You're not a partner. You're a wall. And now I know I've been shouting into a void. Hope that sits well with you. I didn't reread it. I scrolled through it once, closed it, and deleted the chat. Still nothing. No guilt. No anger. No desire to respond. For the first time during all of this, I didn't feel like defending myself. I knew I had done the right thing, or at least the thing I needed to do. Later that evening, I opened the drawer where some of her old stuff was still stashed. A couple of books, a mug, a scarf, a notebook with her handwriting. I looked at it all and realized I didn't need any of it. None of it held weight anymore. It wasn't nostalgia, it was clutter. I tossed everything into a trash bag and dropped it down the chute. No ceremony. No goodbye memories. Just trash. The next day I took a walk. No destination, just wanted to move. The weather was gray, that pre-winter damp chill hanging in the air. Leaves matted to the sidewalk. I walked past houses with their Christmas lights already up, and I felt nothing. Not numb, just indifferent. This whole episode with Ashley had burned itself out. A couple of weeks later, Nick texted me. Hey, did you hear Ashley moved? Nope. Where? Studio on Cedar Street. Someone helped her out. Not sure who. Maybe her parents. Maybe a new guy. But she's doing okay. I looked at the message and felt absolutely nothing. No relief. No bitterness. No curiosity. Just, okay. Funny how fast you can stop feeling anything for someone who once occupied your whole mind. Even when you thought you never could. I didn't wonder who helped her. Didn't care where the money came from or how she was doing now. It was no longer my story. And that realization felt like a breath of fresh air. Later, while cleaning out my files on the laptop, I stumbled onto an old photo folder by accident. There she was. Ashley, me, summer, the park. I had a ridiculous hat, she was in my old t-shirt and laughing with bright lipstick on. I opened one of the photos full screen. Nothing. No sting, no warmth. Just two people who no longer existed. Not really. I closed the photo and deleted the entire folder. First time I didn't hesitate. No, what if I want these later? I wouldn't. So yeah, I'm sitting here now, writing this out. Because even with all this quiet resolve, one question still lingers. Not about her, about me. Because somewhere in the back of my mind, a whisper still asks, what if you really were the last door she knocked on? And I know what people will say. You could have helped a little, what would it have cost you? Or, she's pregnant, Mike, seriously. But here's what I'll say. I'm tired of being someone's emotional safety net. I don't want to be the backup plan. I'm not required to save people who dragged me down once already. I have the right to say no, not because I can't, but because I don't want to. So yeah, I didn't give my pregnant ex money to help her move, even though she said the baby's father abandoned her. AITA?